I want to do a quick video today about this particular job because it was so involved. There was so much that had to be done here. This is a very nice home, huge home, 3 stories. And this is an exercise room is what it was. It's, as you can see, it's tiled. It's sitting on a slab. The home itself is on a foundation, but because this house is at foundation, or this room, I'm sorry, is at foundation level. It's in the very basement bottom. It's on a pad, on a concrete slab. So water was penetrating this wall here and coming in and flooding the room. You can see how it did so much damage, and Cindy can pan around here, that they had to cut away all of the sheetrock. You can see the water damage here in this corner. Where it was really pushing itself in right there. So the gentleman that owns this property is very experienced in this kind of stuff, and several people have put in different types of drains. So what we're going to do in just a few minutes, but while we're inside here so that we don't track the place up, it's obviously for sale now and they're trying to get the property sold. We'll go outside and I'll show you what we did about it. But he wanted a foundation drain outside, and he was right. There was one installed earlier, I use my air quotes, but it wasn't correct, and so it was still running water in the house. So when we started digging along that wall on the outside, and I'll take you out there and we'll look at it, we found a piece of corrugated 4-inch pipe. Someone had punched a hole in the foundation wall and not sealed around it, and they'd run a 4-inch corrugated line from the inside to the outside. So I was trying to figure out what in the heck that was. Was this some sort of drain system from the inside, like a spider drain as we call it, like Terminex or someone would use? I mean, what on earth had they done? Because this was also a point in which water could enter back into the foundation. So we had to come inside here, and when you open this door and go in, you'll see that we go into a crawl space, but it's very high where you can walk around. And we started looking. My employee and I, you know, about where was this coming from. So what we found when we came in here, that is the old line where it went through the foundation there, and we concreted that hole up. We had to concrete it from the outside. And if you step right over here, you can see this is from the water heater, and if Cindy can catch that, I don't know if the light's good enough right there. But it goes down into a corrugated pipe. And I'm not going to take you all the way around the other side, but this is a huge home with probably like 5 air handlers, air conditioning units. They didn't have anywhere down here to pump, or not pump, but you can pump it sometimes, but to take the water from the condensation lines from those air handlers and get it out of the foundation. So they came up with the idea to run this corrugated pipe through here and just stick them all down in the corrugated pipe. So that's what they did, and then it was supposed to go over there and run down all the way outside somewhere down below the end of the yard. And all it was doing, it really, was it made a hole in the wall for water to then come in from the rain. So what we did, we installed this sump tank system for him right here, and I'm not going to open the lid up or anything. There's a sump pump down in there. Then we installed this outlet line. We took it all the way over and ran it through the foundation wall out there, if you can see that, in order so that when we cut this pipe over here and we got that out of the foundation wall and we reconcreted that hole, that this water, if condensation water does come out of here, has a place to go. It's lifted up and sent out somewhere else because it could not drain to gravity. So we did that for him. This is where we work. This is how we put it back, because our machine is very large. It weighs about 10,000 pounds. It did a lot of, and I told him in our proposal that it would do a lot of damage to the turf. It's been raining a lot here. It was just unavoidable that you were going to have, you cannot make an omelet without some eggs, so getting broken. So what we had to do, this is the inset wall where the water was pushing in. And the way we do these drain systems, you can still see a little bit of it right here. You can see the plastic membrane and the wall, the foundation seal that we put on it. But we excavate all the way down to the footer, all the way down. Then I take a builder's level or a transit and I measure this depth versus the depth inside. And I make sure that our pipe, our drain system, is at or below that depth when we start the drain, which starts up there, so that the water will drain by gravity. Then we take and we paint the foundation wall with a foundation coating seal, and we put a plastic membrane on that we overlap in the direction of flow, at least 1 foot of overlap, and we stick it on with rubberized roof cement. So basically we've created an impenetrable barrier for the water, so it cannot get in the wall. It travels down the wall and it goes in your French drain pipe. We then backfill, which fill the trench up with gravel all the way to the top. We haul off all of our dirt. This mulch just covers the gravel. You know, we camouflage it. You know, that's the gas line that was in here. But you can see there's gravel, comes all the way up to the top there. We just camouflage it with mulch. Mulch is fine. Companies that come in and they want to dig that out that way, assuming they get you to the right depth, and they just create a French drain that's about that deep, and then they pack the dirt back up in on top of it, that dirt acts like a patch over that drain. And while loose dirt will let water slowly percolate through it, gravel is so much better. It's a little more expensive, but it is a far better way. Every time we've done this system, it's always worked. But the attention to it, it's not, everybody knows how to do a French drain that does drainage work that knows anything about it. It's not knowing what the drain is, it's taking the proper time and attention to install it that makes a difference. It's doing the detail work. It's knowing how to put that membrane on. It's being very picky and careful about how all that is done. The next thing we did...
And the fall of the pipe.
And the fall of the pipe, making sure that you are correct. So this line here, we did jet hog work also on the gutter drain system with our water pressure jet hog system. This was an older line. It was not serviceable. It was blocked. We went down to the bottom and came up servicing it, and also from this way. So this line was replaced. This one up here, we were able to jet hog this line all the way from down there at the lake. If you can turn around and show them how far down it goes. The outlets are just down there where you see those green flags. This line here was serviceable. So all he needed to do was just, we cleaned it and replaced a little bit of it right here, and he was fine. So he saved that money. We didn't have to do that for him. We had to unhook this gas line and rehook it up. We had a irrigation wire there that I wanted to make sure it stayed exposed in case we had any trouble. But all of the irrigation stuff right here, this is 8 valves, and unfortunately, all 8 irrigation valves in one huge manifold, which is just a mess, were plumbed in right here where we're going to work. So before I started work, I identified and marked every one of them because I've installed commercial irrigation and repaired irrigation for 25 years. And I was able to make simple work out of it. We simply capped everything off, pulled the whole manifold out as one unit. There's pictures of that Cindy can post. And then when we got finished with the job, I cut it up into 3 sections and put it all back in and tested it again, and it worked fine. So that he did not have what a lot of customers end up with in work like this. The company may do a good job on the drain, but they'll destroy a sprinkler system or the yard or whatever, and then they tell them, and a lot of times they do tell you up front that they're just not going to be responsible for that. And now you have to go hire yet another contractor to come in, and because he doesn't know where they dug and what they broke, he's running around blind charging you money to diagnose it, trying to figure out what they've done. So this was a really good example of it being a one-stop shop for this guy because it's a turnkey operation. We got the drain, we had an extremely heavy rain, the water did not penetrate the wall. We came in, we finished out the drain, we got all of his finished work done. There's a couple of things up there up front if you want to go over that on those front downspouts we had to do up there. And then we brought in sand and topsoil and dressed this up because this, again, our machine will leave ruts that deep when it's really heavy, rain season. We smoothed all this out and we put new sod down for him and new mulch so that, he can go ahead and get a realtor as soon as he gets that room fixed and get the house sold. So it was just a really complicated job, And then we ended up doing some more stuff around front, and we'll walk in. We're back up here. These corrugated drain systems can be serviced. That's one part of the video I did want to make sure that customers or viewers knew, is that the corrugated drain systems, a lot of times when they get old, they stop working, they get leaf debris, they get gutter sand, roots in them, and they'll call someone out. Plumber tells you, I can't roto-root it because it tears the pipe up. And landscape contractor says you just need to replace it. Well, you don't have to. You can jet hog clean them with a pressure washer. It sends a high pressure 3000 PSI snake through the line that shoots high pressure piercing water in 3 directions. And we can then identify where the specific, if there are root invasions, a lot of times we can identify those with that line, with that snake, and dig just in that area and make a specific repair. If it's nothing more than simply, it's just clogged up from years of leaves coming in from the gutters or from a, this will drain here. Well, you can see how it's going to get full of trash over time, and that trash gets in the pipe. So you can clean that a lot of times and service the lines, and you don't have to go through the thousands and thousands of dollars to replace it. Especially when you have irrigation and lighting and all this in here. I mean, you can imagine if you took this up and just went digging or trenching through here, there's no telling the damage you would do. So it's much better to try to clean them. Well, when we were doing that for him up front, because we had some water intrusion on the other side of the house, I'll talk about that in a minute, we noticed that these downspouts here, and they had become separated, where the pipe had pulled away from the downspout itself. And water was just pouring right here at the foundation, and it had actually cut a hole in the ground around it. So we jet hogged those, and what we found, and you find this a lot, is that the company that installed this way back when had not used any fittings. They just tried to turn the pipe because it's corrugated. And when you do that, the pipe wants to pull itself down as it gets full of roots or debris or different things. Whereas if you have a fitting there, it will at least stay attached. I always do mine with fittings. And so as we came down through here, we identified, and we could not get the snake to go past sort of a dead end right here. This is a really bad erosion area that he has. And that pipe came through here, and as we dug and looked, someone had installed what's called a drain box, which is just, I'll show you one over here in a minute. It's supposed to come out to the surface, where the water just comes up out of it, and it just, if it's got a top on it like it should have, it lays back down flat when it's not in use. And it was that deep underground. Somebody had literally buried that thing in here and just called it a job, which meant all the water that came off this roof, and this is a big house, and went in those 2 downspouts, dead-ended into that thing, backed up in these foundation areas. There's no telling how much water damage was being done by that. So we found a root invasion here, we fixed that, we turned the pipe, and we put him a new pop-up emitter right down here, and I can see it's already been working. Pop-up emitter on right here for those downspouts, and now they just stay empty out and come out into this little drainage flume that somebody made. This is old stuff. We were working under the house. The employee noticed while he was back on the other side checking, water was penetrating the dugout bank in there. Water was penetrating, but it was coming from the top, up even with these downspout and vent wells. So we came out here and started looking to see what was going on, and yet again, these lines were separated from the downspout for the same reason. In this particular one, we started jet hogging them, and we realized that the main problem on this particular pipe over here on the right was about the first 5 feet was full of gutter sand and roof tacks where someone had redone the roof. And because no fitting was used, the pipe just pulled itself away. It was so heavy. So we were able to identify that problem only existed in about 6 feet rather than redo again this whole thing. And what we did was we cut out that 6 feet and replaced it. We made proper attachments to these 2 downspouts, and then where the drain box here, you can see it's full of water right now. The lid's off of it, but again, the homeowner's trying to sell the house, so we're not going to get into every tiny little thing. Just doing what he asked us to do. But we were able to run the drain snake through this way and the other way and see clear both times that we had run all the way through and clean the line and make it serviceable without having to replace it. So that solved that problem for him, and that was really good to know. And so, you know, at this job, we were here for almost 2.5 weeks. It was very involved. It rained during the job. You know, sometimes these things get really involved. We had, I think, 3 or 4 pieces of equipment down here. It was a lot of work, but again, through a combination of, yes, installing new big construction stuff, but at the same time trying to think about what you can do to save people money and not end up just doing the job from hell where you just tear the whole place to pieces, where we reuse what's there that's serviceable. It was a perfect matchup of doing that and getting the irrigation back without creating a disaster, so he can go on with his life now. He's a busy man. Obviously, you don't live in a house like this if you aren't working hard and, you know, getting out here, getting after it every day. So he doesn't have time to chase this all over the place. So it was a very good advantage for him and us, and we really appreciated his business, but it was just a good chance to do a video. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comment section and we'll be happy to answer.